If fermented foods are supposed to help your gut, why do so many people feel bloated the first time they try them? That is where many older adults get discouraged. They hear that yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, and miso are good for gut health, so they jump in fast. A big bowl of yogurt, a full serving of sauerkraut, a whole glass of kombucha. Then, a few hours later, they feel tight, gassy, swollen, and uncomfortable. So they decide fermented foods are not for them. But in many cases, the problem is not the food itself. The problem is how they started. After 60, digestion often changes. Stomach acid may be lower, food may move through the gut more slowly. Some people are also dealing with IBS, past antibiotic use, acid-reducing medicines, diabetes, or a more sensitive digestive system than they used to have. So when you suddenly add a lot of live bacteria, extra fiber, and fast fermenting carbs all at once, your gut may push back. That does not mean fermented foods are bad for you. It usually means your gut needs a gentler start. The best way to begin fermented foods without bloating is simple. Start low, start slow. Start with one food at a time, and always start with a small amount. Not 3 fermented foods in one day, not a giant serving because it sounds healthy, and not the strongest options first. For many seniors, the easiest place to begin is with something softer and simpler, like plain yogurt or kefir, especially a low-sugar version with live cultures. These are often easier because the fermentation process has already broken down some of the harder-to-digest sugars. If dairy does not sit well with you, a small amount of tempeh, warm miso in soup, or a little traditional sourdough may be easier than jumping straight into sauerkraut or kimchi. And when I say small, I mean small. Start with 1 or 2 tablespoons, not a full serving. Stay there for a few days. If your stomach stays calm, then slowly increase. If you feel gassy or bloated, don't panic. That can happen when your gut is adjusting. Just keep the amount the same for a while, or even step back a little. This is where many people make the mistake that ruins the whole experience. They assume healthy means more is better. But with fermented foods, especially in the beginning, more is often worse. A few spoonfuls may help. A big bowl may overwhelm your system. Another smart move is to begin with gentler fermented foods before the rougher ones. A lot of people think sauerkraut and kimchi should be first because they look the most powerful, but they are often the foods that cause the most bloating in beginners, especially if you are sensitive to cabbage, garlic, onions, or too much salt. That is why many older adults do better starting with yogurt, kefir, miso, tempeh, or fermented pickles before trying larger servings of fermented vegetables. And here's something else to watch for. If a fermented food gives you more than bloating, maybe headaches, flushing, a pounding heart, or a strange jittery feeling, histamine may be part of the issue. Some people simply do not handle aged or strongly fermented foods very well. That does not mean all fermented foods are off the table. It may just mean you need a fresher, simpler option in a smaller amount. It also helps to eat fermented foods with a real meal instead of on an empty stomach. A little yogurt with breakfast, a spoonful of miso in warm soup, or a few bites of tempeh with lunch usually go over much better than taking fermented foods alone. And slow down while you eat. This matters more than most people realize. If you rush, barely chew, and eat while stressed or distracted, you're much more likely to feel bloated. A calm first few bites, better chewing, and a slower pace can make a real difference. One of the best things you can do is keep a simple food and symptom diary for the first couple of weeks. Nothing complicated. Just write down the fermented food, the amount, and how you felt afterward. That's how you learn your pattern. Some people do great with kefir and feel awful with sauerkraut. Others tolerate miso, but not yogurt. Your gut has its own personality. And I would love to know yours. Have you ever tried fermented foods and felt better, or did they leave you bloated? Share the one that worked for you, or the one that absolutely did not. Your comment may help someone else who's dealing with the exact same problem. When you shop, be picky. Look for live and active cultures on yogurt. Check the refrigerated section for real fermented pickles or sauerkraut, and read the ingredient list. If the product is loaded with sugar or unnecessary extras, it may not be the best place to start. In the beginning, your goal is not to eat the most fermented food. Your goal is to build tolerance without misery. So think small, think steady, think one good step at a time. A spoonful of yogurt, a little miso in soup, a few bites of tempeh with lunch. Then let your gut tell you what it can handle. And if you have severe bloating, ongoing pain, weight loss, blood in the stool, or you already know you have IBS, SIBO, or major digestive problems, it's worth talking with your clinician before you push further. Fermented foods can be a helpful part of healthy aging, but they work best when you respect your gut instead of forcing it. If fermented foods are already part of your routine, or if you're thinking about trying them, share your experience in the comments. What is the easiest fermented food for you to tolerate, and which one do you still avoid?